Millennia ago, the Legiones Astartes fractured, and a full half of the Primarchs turned on their father, the Emperor of mankind. They were led in their rebellion by the Warmaster of the Imperium, Horus Lupercal, and though they were ultimately defeated, they changed the Imperium of Man irrevocably. Horus himself would fall at the war's end, but his legion survived and eventually evolved under the leadership of his first captain. In the past, we told the tale of this legion up to the end of the Horus Heresy, but today we tell the rest of the story and explore what became of the Warmaster's sons. Led by the new Warmaster, Abaddon the Despoiler, they were once the 16th of the Legio Astartes. They were the Lunar Wolves, then the Sons of Horus, but today they are known simply as the Black Legion. This is Tactica Imperialis, and welcome to 40k Stories. First, a brief recap of the events up to the death of Horus Lupercal, just so everyone has a basic understanding of who the Black Legion used to be. The Lunar Wolves were the 16th of the Legiones Astartes, who gained their name officially for their deeds in capturing the gene labs of Terra's moon. Their Primarch Horus had been scattered to the world of Chthoniya and was the first of the Primarchs to be found by the Emperor in the Great Crusade. As such, the Lunar Wolves became the preeminent legion in the early Crusade, due to being the only legion with a present Primarch, as well as fighting alongside the Emperor repeatedly whilst he trained and taught Horus. Whilst it could be argued that they had something of a superiority complex and always strove to be the greatest even as other Primarchs were found, none could doubt their proficiency in combat or their record throughout the Crusade. The change in name was a unique honour bestowed upon Horus by the Emperor, an offer made following the Eleanor Crusade and the subsequent triumph. As the Emperor was leaving to go to Terra, focusing on the Imperial Webway project, he elevated Horus to Warmaster, effectively making him the supreme commander of all military forces. The name change was a suggestion rather than a demand, and Horus actually refused for a time. But as what could be a hint of paranoia set in regarding the respect given by his brother Primarchs, the Warmaster heeded the advice of his closest friend Sanguinius and implemented the change per the Emperor's suggestion. All was well and successful for a while for both Primarch and Legion, but on their return to the previously pacified world of Davin, it went very wrong very fast. Horus was struck down by the Nurgle-infected planetary governor with the anatheme, a weapon more than capable of killing a Primarch that had been planted by Chaplain Erebus of the Wordbearers. The grief-stricken sons of Horus gave the Primarch's body to the Serpent Lodge, themselves secret chaos worshippers, and as Horus healed, he was turned against the Emperor by Erebus in his dreams. A few days later, just as the Lodge had promised, Horus emerged from their care fully healed, but his allegiance had changed. Though his sons noticed the shift, they went along with him willingly, turning en masse but not entirely against the Emperor by their Primarch and the long-embedded warrior lodge within the Legion. The now infamous massacres of Istvan 3 and 5 followed shortly after, as the Horus Heresy began in earnest, with Horus successfully turning many other Primarchs due to his natural charisma, his role as Warmaster, and by playing on their insecurities or issues with the Emperor. Just as they had been in the early Great Crusade, the Sons of Horus were the spear tip of the traitors in the Horus Heresy, fighting many battles both with and without their Primarch with great success. Most infamously of all, Horus was able to secure the world of Molech and repeat the Emperor's journey, securing similar if not identical power to his father from the Chaos Gods. They didn't have it all their own way, however, as Horus arguably should have died at the hands of Space Wolf Primarch Leman Russ, and the Legion almost fell apart in the aftermath of the event. But they did make it to the Sol system and finally Terra itself, laying siege to the Imperial Palace and trying to crack the Emperor's fortress before the reinforcing Ultramarines and Dark Angels could arrive for the Loyalists. Despite great success, it wasn't fast enough. Horus was falling apart mentally and the reinforcements were closing in. And so a gambit was played by the Warmaster, lowering his flagship shields and daring the Emperor to take him on personally. The Emperor and Sanguinius both came and fought Horus one after another. Having been teleported onto the bridge, it was the Angel who tried first. The former best friends clashed like demigods of war that they were, but the Emperor-level power of Horus was insurmountable even for Sanguinius, who was cut down. But it is said that the Angel left a chink in the Warmaster's armour, whether physical, mental, or simply imagined, and the Emperor triumphed where Sanguinius failed. It cost the Lord of Mankind almost everything, as he required permanent entombment on the Golden Throne to cling to life, but Horus was utterly annihilated, his last chink of humanity breaking through to plead with the Emperor to kill him, mind and soul. With Horus dead, the heresy was over there and then, and the Sons of Horus were the first of the traitor legions to retreat to the warp rift known as the Eye of Terra in Segmentum Obscurus. In the immediate aftermath of the heresy and their flight into the Eye, the Sons of Horus collapsed as a legion, slowly yet inevitably. The first captain, Ezekiel Abaddon, had abandoned them in his own mad grief, and no one was appointed as the new commander. In fact, the body of Horus recovered by Abaddon was regularly sacrificed to in search of counsel. The legion took the world of Malium as their new home within the Eye, a shelter from the great scouring of the vengeful Imperium, but they remained active in striking out from the warp more than any other traitor legion. They flitted between the Chaos Gods as it suited them, opening themselves up to possession but dying horribly when loyalties changed from one god to another. In truth, they stopped being a legion altogether, splitting into smaller warbands that served their own interest rather than any overarching leadership, because there wasn't one. And whilst all this was going on, the other traitor legions did not sit idle. In fact, the already fractious alliance that Horus had forged completely fell apart, and they turned on one another in what are known as the Legion Wars. As Horus's legion and the first to flee Terra after his death, the rapidly deteriorating 16th were prime targets for their former allies, and even when their librarian-cum-sorcerers found a way to prevent the deaths of their possessed, they were left low in numbers and vulnerable. So far had the Sons of Horus fallen that they couldn't even defend their home, and a raid by the Slanesh-aligned Emperor's Children Legion was able to destroy their fortress on Malium and, worst of all, abscond with the body of Horus. The apothecary and self-styled primogenitor Fabius Bile had plans to clone Horus's body, and after a fashion returned the Warmaster to life. Whilst this caused great offence to the Sons of Horus, there was little to nothing they could do, weakened as they were. But through the efforts of one of their captains, Falcus Kyber, there was still hope of a sort for the 16th, Abaddon, who had taken Horus's flagship the Vengeful Spirit with him when he abandoned the Legion. With a lot of help from across several legions, Kyber tracked down Abaddon, and the first captain informed him that he had already begun building a plan and an army of his own. And so the Sons of Horus were given unity, command, and direction once again from their Primarch's second, but they would no longer bear their Primarch's name. Instead, Abaddon declared Horus a failure and vowed to form a new legion, one that could finish what the former Warmaster had started and topple the false emperor. The Sons of Horus were no more, and in their place stood the Black Legion. The colour and iconography change would have to wait a moment, however, as there remained the small matter of Horus's body. Spearheaded by Abaddon and the Vengeful Spirit, the new Black Legion fell upon the Emperor's children under Fabius Bile on the world of Harmony. After destroying the planet by psychically throwing a warship at it, yes, really, a textbook boarding assault of Bile's ship the Flesh Market began. Within lay clones of all 20 Primarchs, still adolescent and mostly mutated beyond recognition, but the clone of Horus was ready to go and was sent into battle by Bile. Father fought son as Abaddon clashed with the Primarch whose visage he bore as a true son of Horus, and the clone recognised Abaddon after his talon was used by the ex-first captain to catch and shatter his Emperor-made mace Worldbreaker. Abaddon renounced and murdered his lineage, and the battle was won, though Bile did escape in all the chaos. From there, the Black Legion would grow and grow. The inner circle, known as the Ezekarion, was formed from the forces that assaulted Harmony, and any who dared challenge Abaddon from within and without met a swift, merciless end. Though still numerically inferior than the traitor legions at first, their ranks swelled far beyond any of them over the past 11 millennia, to the point that Abaddon only has a measure of oversight over many affairs. And speaking of Abaddon, the former first captain cut down all in his way to become the new Warmaster of Chaos, winning allegiance even from the traitor Primarchs and unifying the Chaos Space Marines under a single banner and cause, his Long War. We shall tell Abaddon's tale in full in the future, so I will move past it here to explore the legion he founded and, to this day, still rules. Despite abandoning their Primarch's name and legacy, the Black Legion still retain many hallmarks of the Lunar Wolves and the Sons of Horus. The most obvious parallel comes in their tactics. Abaddon may have renounced Horus, but his tactics were undeniably effective and there was no need to fix something that wasn't broken. In fact, Horus's preferred strategy for the 16th actually lent itself well to the early Black Legion and their lower numbers. Plus, the majority of the membership at the time were Sons of Horus, so it made sense to use what they knew to avoid confusion. Said strategy was known as the Spear Tip, a coordinated precision strike by a smaller force designed to tear out the throat and kill the enemy commanders. Even 11,000 years later, with the Black Legion vastly outnumbering any of its peers and the gene pool of the membership much more diluted, it remains a commonly employed stratagem, especially since most warbands will fight with lower numbers and the Legion itself almost never unifies completely. This makes most commanders of the Black Legion excellent strategists as well as battlefield monsters, able to coordinate a campaign with less troops and wielding them with maximum efficiency while surviving the cutthroat nature of the Chaos Space Marines who were more than willing to seize power for themselves. By having such competent leadership almost all the way down the Legion hierarchy, it allows Abaddon to let his subordinates act with a measure of autonomy, only calling them to him to answer for a failure, usually with their life, or to assemble a grand army of his own. But it is only through Abaddon's leadership that this was able to happen in the first place. As previously mentioned, the Sons of Horus collapsed after Horus's death and Abaddon's departure. This is because the Sons of Horus required a leader to act as the tip of the metaphorical spear, if you will, their driving force and guiding hand. Horus had held that role until his death, and only Abaddon was able to wrench control of the reins once again when he formed the Black Legion. But the parallels between the Black Legion and their predecessors do not end with an understandable borrowing of tactical doctrine or that superiority complex that I mentioned earlier. Those familiar with the 16th will likely have heard of the Morneval, a quartet of captains who served as unofficial chief advisors to Horus and were essentially second only to the Primarch in the hierarchy. Abaddon was part of the Morneval, both in the Crusade and the Heresy, and in a manner of speaking, he formed a new version of his own in the Black Legion, the Chosen of Abaddon. Composed of 4 Chaos Lords, one representing each of the 4 major Chaos Gods, the Chosen each have specific roles ranging from fleet management to desecration of conquered worlds, though how much of an advisory role they play compared to the Morneval, I cannot be sure. After all, the true inner circle are the aforementioned Ezekarion, the original Astartes that joined Abaddon in forming the Black Legion. Whilst many of them have died or been captured by the Imperium, this group still remains the heart of the Legion, and Horus's former council chambers on the Vengeful Spirit, a now twisted temple called Lupercal's Court that is almost a pocket dimension on the ship, was granted to them by Abaddon for their use only. One question commonly asked about the traitor legions concerns their recruitment, namely, how do they maintain or bolster their numbers without homeworlds, apothecaries, gene seed stocks, and the like? With the Black Legion in particular, they went from an undersized legion to outnumbering the others 10 to 1 by some counts, and without a true homeworld or apothecarian, one may wonder how it happened. In truth, the Black Legion's expansion can be put down predominantly to an open-door recruitment policy combined with a hefty amount of absorption from other sources. We aren't sure if they have recruitment worlds in the Eye or Unconquered Worlds, nor if they have apothecaries spread across the myriad warbands who would be capable of the implantation procedures even with sorceress assistance. But for the most part, the Black Legion recruits by taking from other warbands and even other legions, sometimes absorbing them into their ranks wholesale and sometimes on a more individual level. After all, with the amount of warbands present within the overarching legion, it wouldn't surprise me if maintenance of tradition and methods is permitted, so long as allegiance is sworn to the Warmaster above all. Unlike other warbands or legions, the Black Legion do not discriminate between the worship of the Chaos Gods. A Khorne-aligned warband is as equally welcome as a Slaaneshi one, and I've heard whispers that the Black Legion were able to replicate the Butcher's Nails or other processes usually unique to the God-aligned legions, allowing them to recruit specialists into their ranks. By the same measure, those who serve Chaos Undivided are prevalent under Abaddon's banner, since the Sons of Horus in the Heresy and the Black Legion under Abaddon have broadly stayed under Chaos Undivided. Though the Warmaster arguably defies the Chaos Gods by refusing any possessions or his own personal demonhood, his legion are not so unwilling. Possession is seen as an honour to strive for by many in the Black Legion, and I'm sure that more than a handful of demon princes once wore the black and gold that became their colour scheme post-Harmony. A final note should be given to the fleet of the Black Legion, which is, quite frankly, ridiculous. Though rarely fully assembled, perhaps only in the odd Black Crusade, the Black Legion's armada could probably put most Imperial battle fleets to shame for sheer numbers of both smaller and capital ships. The Vengeful Spirit is one of the almost mythical Gloriana class battleships, a name that could strike fear into just about anyone, and its twin, the Harbinger of Doom, was Abaddon's personal ship before he took the Spirit post-Heresy. Between the demonically enhanced ships common to Chaos fleets and the general volume of vessels the Black Legion can field, there is a reason that the entire Northwest Imperium went to panic stations whenever Abaddon's Black Crusades began to muster. And all of that neglects to mention the Planet Killer, a battleship first fielded in the 12th Black Crusade with a gun that can literally kill an entire planet. Said 12th Black Crusade, the Gothic War as it is known, also managed to get a couple of titanic and terrifying black stone fortresses into Abaddon's arsenal, and while some have been lost, such as the one that broke Cadia, even one is amongst the most fearsome naval assets to ever exist. In short, the Black Legion's fleet is crazy powerful, and if properly assembled, may well be the strongest individual fleet in the entire galaxy. There is a reason that the Black Legion, the Vengeful Spirit, and the name of Abaddon the Despoiler are spoken with such fear by those who know them. And there you have it, an update on the tale of the former Sons of Horus, the Black Legion. Whilst we've not been able to tell the tales of their individual warbands, their legendary figures, and to be honest, any of the battles they've partaken in truth, any attempt to do so would be a great disservice to them, would detract from Abaddon's tale, which I am planning to tell, and honestly would barely begin to scratch the surface. Some of those names are legends of their own right that may well deserve a log in the future. Suffice it to say that though the Black Legion are rarely unified and may well only be held together because of their Warmaster's will, the reinforced remnants of the 16th Legion are rightly feared for a myriad of very good reasons. For now, however, we need to move on. However, we will not be moving too far, as we will be mentioning both the Sons of Horus and the Black Legion in our next log. I wish to explore some of the most elite warriors in the ranks of the Space Marines, both in the Great Crusade and in the modern era, those who walked side by side with the legendary Primarchs, Warmasters, and Chapter Masters throughout history. Thank you for watching Tactica Imperialis, and I'll see you all again. Goodbye.